any type of positivity that you would try to breathe into them.
You'd be
And
surprised. So the way that the children, they might come off with the mother's imprint as a primary, but if you still giving them love, when it come time to trust somebody, they're gonna come to you.
oh yeah, oh yeah, they tell
Right.
me everything.
So the problem is your sister's the one need to help.
Yeah, I think she's beyond help. She's delusional at
No,
this point.
Mama said you don't give up on nobody till they gave up on themselves. And you
Okay.
don't know a person that haven't gave up on themselves. They might just don't know how to get from under the stress.
That could be true.
She don't know how to cope with her stressors, so she takes it out on the children, the weaker people.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
So the goal is to teach her to be more self-confident, and she'll be less mean to the children.
Okay.
She got low self-esteem. All of the things that she's doing to her children, it's the same as the people that cut themselves.
Yep.
Right? It's not that she don't love her children, because she'll fuck somebody up about them. But she don't understand that she's fucking them up by the way that she's interacting with them. Later on, when she wake up to what she's done to them, the remorse, she might not be able to overcome the remorse.
I don't think so, because I mean, it's horrible. I don't know. I never thought a mother could ever treat their daughters like that, especially girls, But but you know what? Thank you so much. That was all I had. I'll let you take another caller, but thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you said to me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for coming in, sweetie.
You're welcome. Okay.
Reciprocity of energy. So look, a lot of times these mothers are not properly pair bonded. This is why doulas is so important. They're not properly pair bonded with the child, because instead of allowing the cycle of the oxytocin and endorphins to cycle through the child back through the umbilical cord, the psyche is told that the child is stillborn, and the mother is seeing the child and she's conflicted in her deep emotions and don't know what it is, so she becomes aggressively abusive to the child. But you fuck with that child, she'll fuck you up. But she doesn't understand that her pair bonding is off because she never had a doula before during pregnancy and in the formative years of adolescence, where the child is developing a personality. So she don't know how to properly connect with the child, and it comes out as abuse. All of this stuff is going to be corrected and treated. And the doulas is going to be more important than the psychs. Psychiatrists is only there to give you medications in order to numb whatever the psychological sensation that they call an abnormality, right? So they're not really there to heal you. The doulas is there to heal you. They don't want you to be miserable with your child. They want you to enjoy your child, and they want you to be properly pair bonded, because the mother that's properly pair bond with the child is a whole different person than the one that's traumatic, the trauma bonded to the child, right? Because it makes them take out negative emotions on the child because they are bonded through a trauma bond instead of a parental bond. And postpartum depression, as the sisters say right here, is a critical part or a critical symptom of improper pair bonding. The doulas know what to do. Every one of the sisters is watching. If you're pregnant, make sure that you have a doula or a certified midwife that is familiar with child psychology, because they're gonna make sure that the mother is properly pair bond. They slap the child on the ass, trauma. The child cried, trauma to the mother. Then they cut the cord, double trauma. The baby, the placenta told the mother that there's been an obstruction and the baby is dead. But the mother looking at the child, her eyes is saying, I see the baby right there. But if they don't slap the baby, he has no trauma. Clear the airway, and then you post the baby on the mother's teeth. The baby's supposed to suckle until the placenta releases naturally, at which time the placenta is then either harvested or some people leave the placenta on until it fall off. But it depends on the doula, which the doulas come in tribes too, right? So we got doulas that teach from a different learning style than a different doula, but they all have one thing in common. They want the mother properly pair bonded with the child so that the child can have proper mothering as it grows, because it changes the way the adults are made and it changes the way that the adults behave. If we don't get a hold on this shit soon, we're going to be producing more derelicts. We don't want that shit. They was doing that shit to be fodder for their prisons and their work camps. So I'm going to take another sister, but that's an important issue that and the women need to be aware of.
Hey, peace, peace. How's it going?
Good. How you doing, sweetie? Tell them where you chiming in from.
From Arizona.
Arizona, goddammit, all in the desert.
Yes. Yes, I was actually tapping in because my brother and I, we went camping Friday and we just came back today. But yesterday when we were out there, it was weird because like when we were sleeping in our tent and I was laying down, I kept hearing like this humming noise. And it just kept going for like the longest. And then like when I turned my head, then it stopped. And then it just kept going. And then like an hour later, I heard like, it almost sounded like females in a hyena scream. And it was like, sounded like 8 to 9. And it was like all together. And then it was like that for like 30 minutes and then it stopped.
Mm-hmm. It sounded like it was either jackals or foxes. They make those sounds. Sound like hyenas.
Because I'm thinking like, I was telling my brother, I was like, man, this whole life has been so powerful. Like even this one that you went on this morning, but the previous caller that was on here, she was mentioning about like nursing and you mentioned about psychology. And I was telling my brother, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Cause like right when I got out of high school, I went to school for psychology and I couldn't understand. I didn't like the reading. So I just stopped doing psychology. And then I went to school and got licensed in massage therapy. And then I started to go to school for nursing. And then when they made it, it's going to stop nursing. But it's like always had a thing to be with children. I love being around children. And I was telling my brother, like if I went through the nursing program, I wanted to be in the ward that was like with children and mothers.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things, there's going to be a lot of like women who couldn't have children, right? There's going to be a lot of them that's going to volunteer for some of these children taken with special needs, taken from tunnels, right? Some of them, their eyes got fucked up from being kept in the dark their whole life, 8-10 years. You know, some of them have issues with their entrails from being abused, all kind of psychological issues from being abused. And the only thing that's going to overcome all that abuse is a whole lot of love.
That's crazy. It's crazy you said that because I actually had gotten a procedure done in 2016 and I had to get my tubes removed and they told me I wasn't able to have kids naturally. I can only have kids
intravenous test tubes.
Correct. But
in vitro fertilization.
Yes, correct. They said the same thing to my mom too, and they said that she wasn't able to have kids, but she was able to have 2. So, but during that process, like after learning that news, like it took me a couple years to understand that, and I was depressed through that time because it's like that's something that I've always wanted to have, you know, to have kids naturally, and it's like I'm still trying to understand the process and all that, like saying that I'm able to have kids because I still feel like I'm still able to have kids because my mom was able to, but I don't know. It's just like kind of iffy. I don't know.
Your mother had the same surgery you had?
No, she didn't.
So your surgery is the issue, right? If they took your fallopian tubes. So in vitro fertilization will harvest your egg and match it with the sperm and put it in like you know, that's how they do in vitro fertilization.
Right.
Right. And in that case, you might be extremely fertile. Right. A lot of times they put more than one fertilized egg in, and you have a multiple birth. Right. So that's something to think about. But I will wait till after the medical system is revamped, because a lot of the things that they was doing is unconscionable to tell the people.
Right.
Right? Like, it's a good chance that they didn't need to take your fallopian tubes. One of the things every woman need to know this: if your pH balance in your vagina is alkaline, none of the stuff, cancer can't live there, venereal disease can't live there, can't function in an alkaline environment, right? And you normally know when it's acidic because it has a scent that comes with it that the woman doesn't like herself.
Right.
Right. So this is why it's important to keep the yoni balanced, chemically balanced by periodically they got yoni priestesses that teach vaginal health on a deeper level. Right.
I remember you guys were talking about that in the live. I can't remember her name, but I started following her on your IG page. She was talking about it, the yoni and stuff. And this actually yesterday or Saturday, I did some grounding when I was in the field. And when I got done grounding, I was telling my brother, I was like, man, my feet felt so much lighter, like getting done, like grounding, even though it was like 10 minutes, but my body felt different doing it afterwards.
Yeah. Because people be amazed that right now we are more sensitive to the energy in our bodies because the frequency is changing, and it's more noticeable to us now than it would have been, say, in the 80s. Right. The ones in the 80s, you had to be an extreme tree hugger in order to be able to tap that energy. Now you don't have to be. You just have to be aware of Mother Earth's connection to you, and then ground yourself to her, and it automatically starts to aid in healing.
Oh, and then another thing I found out. So when I was in massage school, we read this book about Chinese medicine, and it dealt with like the archetypes, like the earth, fire, water. And I learned that I was the earth type, but I'm not sure how to go upon with that.
When is your birthday?
April 28th, 93.
What's your zodiac sign? April. That's Aries.
Taurus.
Taurus.
Yes.
So they send you an earthbender, basically. The earth sign are more stubborn, harder to handle, more determined. When they set their mind to something, it's harder to stop them. Right? Fixed energy. Taurus is notoriously stubborn, but notoriously stubborn with one of the best hearts you want to see. They give you their last, right, if you don't ask them for it. If you ask them for it, they might think you up to something. They don't give you shit. But if you don't ask them for it, they'll see what you need and they'll give it to you on their own, and then they'll feel the satisfaction that they want to know they're doing good. Yeah. So to try to make a Taurus do something, you're gonna make them not do it. The harder you try to make them do it, the less likely they is to do it. But if you ask them nicely and say please, then get out their way so they can get the job done.
That's so crazy you said that, because I feel like that's how I am with my job. So like I work on a military base. I was in the Army, but I got out last year, but I worked there full time. And like I was telling my brother, I felt like they got so used to me when I was in the Army, like them ordering me to do something, like, yes, I'll do it. But now that I work on a state side, I'm just like, if that's not my job and you guys don't pay me to do it, I'm not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy that you said that.
All day long. You ain't pay me to do that. That ain't on my job description.
That's me every day. Every time my boss asks me to do something, I'm just like, he's not doing anything. Why ain't you doing it yourself? Like, but I just want to appreciate you, Uncle Rod. I just wanted to talk to you for a little bit, but I'll let you go so you can take another caller.
Okay, sweetie. Thanks for chiming in.
No problem. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
How you doing?
Good. How's it going?
It's pretty good. Tell the people where you calling from.
I'm calling from Missouri, but I'm from Indiana.
Okay, well, I'm gonna show you with the bullseye.
Okay.
No, Indiana is what's the Hoosiers?
Hoosiers. So, how's everybody doing? Hi, Uncle. How are you?
I'm good, sweetie. What's on your mind? I like your
Okay.
dreads.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm calling in because I went through a transition. A lot of people have. But when I went through the transition, I went through a couple of things. So I was high one day,
Me too.
and I was coming I was coming down, and I was laying in the bed, and all of a sudden, like I like seen this. I call it a static man because it was shaped like a man, and it was
That's
right
called the
above.
crooked man. That's Tookie.
It was right above my head, and it was like I felt the wind. It was like being under a helicopter, really hard winds, and I was like, "What the?" I thought
When's your
I
birthday?
was June 6th, the most beautiful day of the year.
Goddamn Gemini shit there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so finish what you're saying.
So it was like black and gold. And it was when I looked up, I was actually looking up and it was like there. And I was like, am I fucking losing it? And yeah, it was like staticky. It was black and gold. And I thought it was a portal. I didn't know what the fuck it was, but it had winds and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like holding on to the bed. It was real though.
Did you ever see that TV show Raising Dion when he called the Lightning Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Tookie.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what's your favorite color?
My favorite color is purple.
Purple. They
I
do
love
got
teal too.
they got a crib set that wear a blue that's almost looks purple, but it's blue. Yeah, so that's a powerful set. Anyway, the Crooked Man is the personification of Big Tookie energy in the atmosphere. And they call it the Crooked Man or the Walking Lightning. When he come to you like that, he came to you with Big Mama colors. That's not his colors. Black and gold, not his colors. That's Big Mama colors. Right? That means that he's coming to you from Big Mama house.
Wow. I was in my grandma's house too. So that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's he was coming to you from Big Mama house. You a high priestess. You're a high priestess of Skywalker.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Big Mama sent him. Like that's when I had my awakening too. It was in 2013, right at the beginning. My dad had just passed away, and all these phenomenons were happening in that house, in the bedroom. Like I unlocked myself in that bedroom. Like I was able to see myself out. So many things. And so when that happened, I was like, what in the hell is going on?
Mm-hmm. So when you get a knock from a high chief like that, it's because you got a high position or high rank in the tribe, right? So when Tookie coming from Big Mama house, you got to be a priestess. If he was a daddy's girl, he would have came to you in this blue. If he was a mama's girl, he came to you. So the lizard is symbolic of the four-legged ascension or 3D, whereas the snake is the symbol for the spiritual ascension, which you don't need arms and legs for, right? The ladybug symbolizes love. Bears is controlled by the matriarchy, so bears are the matriarchs on the land. The bear clans on this land is the same as the gorilla clans on the motherland, right? So it's the same great apex animals. The red-tailed hawk, all of the hawks are spirit messengers. When you see any hawk, eagle, birds of prey, condors, and vultures, the vultures symbolize fearlessness, and all of the birds, they symbolize different things. The red-tailed hawk ties into the red-tailed bombers of World War I, and The armadillo is resilience and the ability to withstand heavy punishment by curling up in a ball, which is also ties back into a Scorpio knot. The wasp is the lone crusader who oftentimes is known for striking out on their own, and they don't always set up in a colony and form what you call a hive. Y'all got me going. The dog mean that you normally, those who have the dog as they familiar are the ones who walked alone the most in life. The snail is representing pretty much what the turtle. He can go into his shell and he can carry his house on his back. That means that all I need is on my back. That's the symbolism of the snail, right? The lion is the symbol of pride, controls the heart center, and it's going to take a Leo to reach a Scorpio at the highest levels, because the Leo is fixed position fire energy, a torch, and the Scorpio is fixed position water energy, a block of ice, and you need a torch to melt a block of ice. Right, so the woodpecker is a knocker. When you see woodpeckers, you always hear them knocking. You won't even know they're there if they ain't knocking. Right, so that's the symbol of a master knock. What is he knocking for? To get the parasites out the wood. Right, the dolphins are flippers. That means they flip codes and signs through the sounds that they emit. The electric blue sign is the crooked man. That's Big Tookie. Already did sharks, dragonflies. The dragonfly is the symbol for a spirit messenger in miniature form. Basically, it's saying it's a baby master being born. The dragonfly is his totem. The beaver represents the family building up of the family. Right? So when you go over the beaver, you watch what he do. He dams up the water in order to build a whole pond. That's a whole community. He creates ecosystems. So he represents the grand architect. Let me see. Right. So the praying mantis is the insect equivalent of a priest. Right. So he's the priest of the insect kingdom. Right. The ram represents the father at the top of the mountain, the great goat, the greatest of all time, right? So this is what the great goat, the ram, which is Ra, which is represented by the sun disk on the head of the gods, which actually represents your crown chakra in its full illumination. The butterfly represents transition and messages. We send messages through butterflies. Cat's as familiars mean that you need somebody to watch your spiritual. If you can watch and read the cat, you can read Oracle real well, because the cat is a teacher. Let me see what else. Right. So the muskrat, contrary to what he might really smell like, so they use muskrat glands to make perfumes. So the muskrat is a rodent that's sacred to the sweet water, right? So it's a totem animal for the priestesses of Oshun. This is why they use his anal glands to make perfume. The moth is a night butterfly, carry messages by night. I did the spider, did the lion, I did the snake, did the deer, did the ladybug, did the owl, right? So the rhino is the one who comes to move the obstacle. He takes on the heavy lifting, right? And he got 2 points that he's always emphasizing. He don't have to see far is his first point. That's why he's what you call nearsighted. And his second point is, with the mass and weight that I carry with me, your ass will be moved whether you want to be or not. The chicken is symbolic of a group of young females. That's why they call them chicken heads. They also call them pigeons. But the group has to learn from the old crow or the old crone. So all of that stuff is related. So what we going through now is totem flipping, right? The hummingbirds is rapid incoming messages and desire for the sweets. The sweets is the honey, the nectar. Real life after sports. What link you trying to get? The unicorn represents something that's rare, magical, and very difficult to find. So that's what the meaning of the unicorn is. Magical motherfuckers, right? I know a unicorn. The crocodile, tough skin, can take the punishment, but he can also chop your ass up. The crocodile oil is the symbol used for the sacred secretion in the rituals of baptism. They use crocodile oil in areas where crocodiles are, but in other places they use alligator oil. Where none of those are present, they use olive oil. And if they don't have access to olive oil, it has to be a gold-colored oil for the ceremonial purpose. That's it's a facsimile of the crocodile oil. So when you hear them talking about being anointed, being KRST Christ, this is what they talking about. If you wasn't anointed with the crocodile or the alligator oil by Big Mama, you faking the funk. But in this era, she also used olive oil to do the same. Right. The mosquito is been around a long time, a lot longer than you think. The modern mosquito has been genetically modified because the real mosquito, that motherfucker used to be about 6 inches long and his motherfucking proboscis was longer than him. And when they bit your ass, you knew you was bit. I did roaches, I did snails. If you was on the back of the elephant in the ocean, that's the great mother carrying you through a spiritual journey. I did crows and ravens, dragons. Dragon mean master. The eel mean the same as the snake, but it's also associated with the projective energy, like the moray eel or electric eel, as they like to call it. Real life after sports. Your grandmama picked you to be the great one. Dinosaurs we read because there's none present other than alligators, turtles, and crocodiles. We have to read them as a tarot card. Anything that doesn't physically exist in this reality, in this time frame, we read it as an energy signature coming from the past. Even if it's made up, we can still read the energy signature once we understand how it's described to us. So some people don't believe dinosaurs even existed. The water buffalo is the great beast of burden, also represents the matriarchy because the males put the circle around the females and children, but the lead female tell them when to attack. That's why they don't attack often, because they only attack when it's necessary, because they don't have to lose nobody. Unlike a male-dominated species will just attack and get everybody fucked up for no reason, like humans be doing. The dung beetle is called that because he rolls the dung into the hole and he uses it to feed the youth. But the Egyptians said that the dung beetle or scarab beetle rolled the disc known as Ra, or the sun disc, across the sky and during the daylight hours. So the dung beetle became known as the one that rolls you through your ascension process and raises you up from I forgot the 3 phases from, I think it's Amun, Kefra, Atin, Amun, from the 3 phases. So there's also representative of the 3 sisters in the daytime. There's no resurrection without the dung beetle symbolism in the resurrection ceremony. Yep. Big Mom, them bingo games and stuff, we be laughing. They be doing whole conjures and playing bingo. Right. Yeah, well, you still got Giant. Shaq a fucking giant. If you keep finding black and white feathers in equal proportion, that means that you're finding your balance. The feathers are always messages from our ancestors. Yeah, we do a lot of rituals on accident because we don't consciously remember. Pretty Chin, what you want me to speak on preparation of? My man said my wife reminds me of a beast I seen in my dream. I would need to know the details of the dream to tell you what that mean, Yashan. Whew, I got a whole lot of questions today. If your bloodline was Reynolds from Virginia, they stole y'all plantations and turned them into tobacco companies. They named the J.R. Reynolds Tobacco Company after the Reynolds family, whose birthright and farming rights they overran. They took their shit, but y'all gonna get it back because we know who did it and we know where it's at. I don't know if it's gonna be casinos on the flip, because that's just the artificial means to keep people into a gambling addiction so that they're always gambling on their life, taking chances that's unnecessary. So I don't know if that's gonna even be around.